The duration of the session will be 2 hours. So 1:30 to 3:30, we will take a 15-minute break and then again 2 hours. We can even stretch more. I'm at home, absolutely no problem. So if you have any query, we can go ahead with that. So you should not worry like only you can ask the questions during the session. You can ask anytime later also. So don't worry about them. But whatever I'm discussing with you, please be very open. If it's not clear to you, please feel very comfortable to interrupt in between or say it's not clear or repeat whatever. I assume that my voice is clear and audible to you, to the online and the offline participants. Now let's start our story, and I will take some historical points. So I will start my story with the decade of 1890 to 1900, or let's say up to 1920. So you can say we are starting our journey 100 years back. So when we look at this side, basically we find there is something going on between the science versus the social science. In the sciences, basically physics and the chemistry, they were developed in this era. Physics got settled with so many of the laws and the formulas. Chemistry, Mendeleev has settled with the periodic table. And it was felt around 1900 that nothing is there to be, to know in the physics. By the way, 1905, Einstein arrived and changed all the rules. But science were very proud of some things. They called them as law. So when we say E is equal to mc square, when we say F is equal to ma, or V is equal to U plus AT, or numerous such things, which I hope were taught to you at some time in your schooling. They're very proud about these things. Number one, they call it as law. Law means whatever may be the condition, they will be true every single time. Second, they coined a term called empirical. The meaning of the empirical is can be checked using experimentation method. You can also check that. Anybody can check that. And these things are something like universal. No exception. If there is an exception, it's not a law. So they are universal. So it doesn't matter in which time period you live in, which country you live in, which place, which part of the world you live in, these formulas will work every time. People working in the social science. Now, what is a social science? Which is not exactly the science or where the main study matter is human being. So sociology is a science. Yes. Then political science. People as back as 300 BC, they were discussing about the political science. Socrates has written something. Plato has written something, The Republic. Aristotle has written wonderful books. Then commerce, management, economics, psychology. So all these domains where we are not working like the physical sciences. So let's call them, this is something called the physical science. And here we call as the social science. So first thing we find that whenever we are dealing with a human being, 2 plus 2 is not the 4. With human beings, it's not there. With human beings, things change. In the sociology, in the psychology, your mood is not always the same. It changes. So it means here we cannot go ahead with the word law. Rather, we will call another word called theory. The meaning of the theory is most of the time it works, but it may have the exception also. Most of the time it works. So Maslow's need hierarchy theory. So there are the physical needs, then there are the social security needs, esteem needs, etc. So most of the time it works, but there can be exceptions also. So whenever it comes to social science, we work with the word as theory. So just like the people of the physics and the chemistry, they say that there is a problem and there is a law and a solution. Human beings also say there is a problem, go to the relevant theory and you will find out the solution or how the things should be. Okay, hope you are able to see our time machine and discussion about 1892.
Visible, sir. It's visible.
Okay, so we are talking about the theory, and the theory is not universal. Theory is empirical. Theories are empirical. You can check them, but since it works on the human being, they are not universal. They change. And one word that is very important with the theory is the context. For example, Around 1980s, three persons. These persons were Parshuraman. In December, he was here in Bangalore. Then Jethmal and Berry. They thought of how to measure the service quality. I can measure the technical quality. For example, mobile got this much of the power backup, this much of the electricity it will consume. A fan will have this much rotation and this much RPM, this much torque it will generate, etc. But how I'm teaching, how can you tell about that? Or you took your lunch today, how was the quality of the lunch? That is different for the different people. How will you evaluate the same? So they started something and made something called SurveyQual. SurveyQual is service and QUAL for quality, for measuring the service quality. And they come up with something called as the rater. A rater means there is a concept of reliability. Now, reliability we will discuss a lot today. So rater is reliability. So when you are availing a service, it must be reliable service. Then there must be assurance. I will come to this. What is assurance? Then tangibility part. So for a teaching, a minimum quorum is a teacher and a student. Why you require these AC classrooms and the laptops and the LCD projectors, wonderful furniture? Why you require that? These are the tangibility aspect. So Gurudev Ravindranath Tagore experimented. He said a teacher and a student is more than enough and we can study under the tree. Shantiniketan started. So tangibility is those parts which we can touch actually. Infrastructure and other things. Empathy. Empathy means starting where the other person is, understanding where the other person is coming from, putting yourself in the other person's shoes. So empathy is very important in context of patience, in terms of compassion, understanding of the other person. And then there is a response. Responsiveness means whenever you ask, a person should reply. Person must give the reply. And what is assurance? Assurance is providing a sort of assurance that you have done a right job in selecting this particular service provider. See, you buy a washing machine and the next day you got a call from your dealer. Everything okay? Are you facing any problem? Now, statistically, 99.9% people don't face any problem on the next day. It will come after some years, not on the next day. But that call gives you assurance, yes, somebody is there. If things go wrong, there is somebody who will take care. They are the people who are concerned. That's a sort of assurance. So assurance is given by the service provider. That's why when you travel by airlines, they thank you for choosing that particular airlines. You go to the restaurant, they thank you for choosing this restaurant. A sort of assurance that you have done a great job. Now, if we take these five things, are they universal? Any service quality, if I choose a hotel or I choose a hospital or I choose a service provider for bungee jumping or extreme sports, river rafting, etc., or I choose something for a teacher or a restaurant, will they same? No. Some people thought of working originally. These three people, they worked in the bank scenario. Soon somebody else worked with the restaurant scenario, and they found other than these, what about the taste of the food? In the bank, no taste was required, but in the restaurant, taste is also required. So that may be again important. When you choose the hospital, maybe the doctor skill of the doctor, professionalism and expertise that is required, not there in the banking, etc. You understand meaning of the context. That's why please understand, whenever somebody say about the theory, a basic point about the theory is all theories are not universal. All theories by default, they are incomplete. It's just like saying any human baby born at the birth is not complete. A baby has to learn how to stand, how to walk, how to talk, and all other necessary skills and then knowledge also. It's okay, there is a baby, but to become a baby, a good citizen and a complete person, so many other things are required. Likewise, when we talk about the theory, any theory is not complete. Rather, every theory is basically limited by the usage in which context the theory was given. Take example of TAM. technology acceptance model. Now, whatever the term says, can the same technology acceptance model, TAM, can the same model be talked in terms of adopting the Bitcoin currency or the cryptocurrency and adopting ATM or adopting some other sort of technology? Some basic fundamentals will be same, but some contextual variables will be different. Do remember that. These contextual variables will be different. Or in other words, I'm saying a theory obtain the color of that particular sector or the industry. Some contextual variables will be there. So let's come back to our original story of 1890 to etc. days. So now these some wonderful people were there, and the first person we come across. Anybody remember who was the first person when we talk about the statistics? By the way, before I go ahead with that, by any chance, is there anyone who loves statistics? By chance, anyone who loves math or statistics? The probability of that is extremely low. Oh, I can see one person. Soumya. Okay, that's great. If somebody has done, when we study statistics, who's the first person who come forward? By the way, it's not Carl Pearson or R.A. Fisher or these people. Any guesses? Who is the first person who contributed towards the statistics, even when statistics was not considered as a branch? Okay, the hint is she was a lady, not a person, not a male person. She was a lady. Okay, have you heard of the name of Florence Nightingale? By any chance, anybody has heard the name Florence Nightingale? Florence Nightingale was okay. Anyone, you can write in the chat box. What is she actually known for?
Yes, sir.
Florence Nightingale. Florence Nightingale was a pioneer in many fields, and one of the field was she was actually the person who started the nursing field. She was not a nurse actually. She belonged to a very royal family. She belonged to a royal family, and in the social service, yes, she conducted social service at the time of First World War. She, she made herself as the ambassador, and she visited this the people who were wounded at the First World War. She concluded the first person who would use the pie chart, using the pie chart, and she designed it of its own, and she presented us a report which said that more people died because of the lack of the sanitation in the hospitals than actual in the war. More people, and actually many more times, died in the hospitals because of the lack of the cleanliness and the sanitation than any other thing. So Florence Nightingale was the first person we study when even statistics was not developed. The contribution for the statistics is given to Carl Pearson. His name was C-A-R-L, Carl, but he was very much influenced by the Karl Marx. He was born in England and studied a lot in Germany. Very much impressed by the Karl Marx and changed the spelling. First is K-R-L. And he became a mentee of another person. His name was Francis Galton. Now you might you might think of, like, why I'm teaching you history? This was supposed to be a lecture of statistics, but just be with me. Statistics will become very interesting and fun if you understand what are the challenges Carl Pearson faced, why he thought of making correlation, what Galton was thinking, what others were thinking. A problem is most of you got a exposure of statistics, something like there is a X series, then there is a Y series, you multiply the two, then do the square of the two, then get the total, then divide, then under root, and this and that and that. Meaningless numbers and multiplication for no good reason. And that's a reason most of us hate mathematics, or particularly statistics. Total meaningless, absurd paper, numbers and nobody tell why we are doing this thing, why we're doing this stuff. Well, actually, fortunately, this was not such in the times of Carl Pearson and Francis Galton. Who was Francis Galton? Francis Galton was the cousin brother of Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin, everybody know, but Francis Galton was again, he was Sir Francis Galton, a very accomplished person, and a word attributed to him is called polymath. Polymath is a word given to a person who is expert in many fields. So this was the time, 1890, 1920. One of the biggest debate was not obviously statistics, it was the genetics. Can we produce intelligent babies? That was the biggest question. Can we produce intelligent babies? Why some people are good, other are not good? Is it genetics? Is it their heredity or environment? What is happening? People of psychology were also pondering upon this. So Francis Galton is the person who gave the concept of regression. He gave the concept of fingerprints. He gave the concept of many things in the genetics, eugenics, etc. So very accomplished person. And now Carl Pearson, working in the University of London, and become a mentee of Francis Galton, very senior person. So, and they were pondering upon certain things. And transatlantic, we must understand what was happening. One is London, where three genius people are there. One person is Galton, a super genius person. Other person is Carl Pearson, amazing person. This is the person who started the Department of Statistics for the first time in University of London. And he was the editor of a magazine, probably its name was Biometrica. It's still available. And it was the magazine, the journal at his time. Something like today we talk about the Nature, highest impact factor. So Biometrica was like that. And another boy was there who was just studying in the school or the college at the time. His name was Fisher. Fisher, just think of Fisher was something like Shakuntala Devi. If you know of Shakuntala Devi, Fisher was very much like that. A supercomputer, genius person. He was not born genius. In childhood, he met an accident and got some, what I will say, something happened to him after that accident. Something in his brain, some wires changed, and we become the supercomputer. He could see the 3D geometry. He can solve the things which people could not. He can just solve by, listening and answering that. It was a supercomputer, a genius. So three persons were in the London and transatlantic, other side, USA. Some other people were there who were working. One was Charles, what was the name? The full name of Charles. One was, have you heard of two sort of correlation? One is called Carl Pearson coefficient of correlation. One is rank correlation. Anybody remembers who gave the rank correlation? Yes, Charles Spearman. So Charles Spearman was the one person on the other side, 1920, 1905, 1920, they were the same thing. And then other geniuses will come, but these were the 3-4 persons. Now, what were their contribution? First, Galton, he gave the concept of regression. Carl Pearson, he gave the concept of R, correlation, also gave the chi-square test. Fisher, he gave the concept of ANOVA, one-way analysis of variance, and in his name, it is honored to be the F test. Another genius was not a genius, but a very methodological person, very hardworking person was there. He gave the concept of the T test. I will just recall his name. It was not the student. He was working in a beverage company, and their publication by the employee's name was not allowed. So he used the pen name of the student T test. And Charles Spearman gave the concept of, it was the first of rank correlation concept he gave. And another concept he gave was the EFA, exploratory factor analysis. Do know something about these people. Okay, smart syndrome, etc. So Charles Spearman worked in the domain of psychology. You must understand that. He worked in the domain of psychology. These people worked, Galton was a multi-talented person. Pearson worked in the statistics. and a lot with the medicine in those days. So you will find the very early developments of the statistics are very, very correlated with the medicine field. Fisher worked a lot in the agriculture study. That's why in most of his examples, yeah, that's a correct one. Yes, somebody answered. Gosset was the name. Gosset gave this. And Gosset was so humble that somebody asks about, you have done the T test, how do you feel? And he said, no, it's not a big deal. Just Fisher would have done it any day. So he also recognized Fisher is a genius. So in the work of the Fisher, in the examples, etc., you will often find the name of fertilizer, crop production, fertility, seed level, etc. Agriculture examples you will find in that. Okay, so now starting with this, see something back. So these 3-4 people will come again and again in our discussions. Galton, Pearson, Fisher, Gosset, and Charles Spearman. These are the prominent people. Then other people are also there. Let's study statistics with a different perspective, in a historical perspective. Let's come to the second part. Go back again to the science versus social science. In the science, we start with something called as the variables. Anything that varies is a variable. That's why when today we start teaching about the class 6 onwards, the very first thing we start teaching them as a units of measurement. Have you noted it? It's been a long time you are in the 6th class. So if somebody got any kid in the 6th class or seen anyone, so we always start with the unit of measurement. 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeter. 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeter. Then decameter, decimeter. 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds, and so on, so forth. We go like that. It's called units of measurement. One thing is there, the certainty is there. There is no ambiguity. There is a complete certainty in every single time. 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeter. So 10 meter will be 1000 centimeter, no doubt about it. But the problem with the social science is most of the time we deal with the opinions. Except a couple of fields like economics and etc., they might deal with the money, which is as good as a variable, a very fixed variable. But most of the time, whenever it comes to the human being, there is an opinion. And the problem with the opinion is there is no certainty. You ask the same thing from the same person, and chances are things might differ. Now, let's elaborate it a little bit more. What it means? So I can see one participant, let's say Soumya. So Soumya, if I ask Soumya 10 times, Soumya, what's your good name? I ask randomly 10 times in a day, in 24-hour time, and I ask any time. Okay, Soumya, what's your, and just like the movie Sholay, I ask Soumya, what's your good name? And she replies, my name is Soumya. Name. Now, what is this thing? Is this valid? Is she telling me the truth? So she can produce the Aadhaar, she can produce the degree certificates, etc., photo ID, and all this. This is called the validity. So validity means getting the truth. Obtaining the truth will be called as the validity. She has all the certifications to prove that she is Soumya actually. Okay. And will the same answer will come every single time? So all 10 times Soumya is telling, yes, my name is Soumya. So I will call it as reliability. Reliability means, I don't know whether it is truth or not, but reliability means every single time the same result was there. You get the meaning of validity and the reliability? Validity means the truth, and reliability means truth or no truth, same answer is repeated every single time. Yeah, somebody want to say something? Seems somebody has unmuted and want to ask something. Okay. Now, instead of the name, let's change our context and let's note down the weight of Soumya. Weight of Soumya, again, randomly any 10 times in the morning, 4 a.m. I say, Soumya, get up. I want to take your weight. After the breakfast, before the lunch, after the lunch, in the evening, later in the night, 10 times. Now, my question is, will Soumya's weight will be exactly same every single time, or will it vary? Will it be same exactly? Say Soumya says I am 45 kg. So she will be exactly 45 kg all 10 times, or might be 45.1 kg, 44.9 kg. Is it possible? That can vary. Okay. Yes, it will vary. Right. So it means now it comes. What is the actual weight of Soumya? What is the actual weight of Soumya? Because 10 times weight is not the same. So you may say, okay, you can take number one, that weight is not like from 45, she will become 85 in a single day. So it will be 45.1 kg, 44.9 kg, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. Or the other thing can be like Utkarsh says, you can take an average. You can take an average. Yes, Utkarsh, we can take the average, but since the variation is so small, we will say if you take 45, 44.9, that is as good as 45 kg. That will be exactly same. Don't worry about that. No need to take 10 times and take this. Don't worry about that. Go ahead. It's a 45 kg. Okay. So, but one thing, please see, will there be any issue of the reliability or not? Now, more than the validity, reliability also becomes, because in the first case, reliability was 1. 1 means perfectly reliable, exactly same answer. Now, this reliability will be somewhat less than 1. I don't know how much it will be. But when I say it's slightly less than 1, it means the result will not be same every single time. Yes or no? Do you get this concept or not? The result will not be same every single time. When we meet her weight, Soumya's weight 10 times in a day, it will not be same. Minor changes are there, that's okay, but it will not be same. So reliability is there. Third thing, I don't ask weight, rather I ask happiness level of Soumya 10 times in a day. Now, happiness is a opinion. Weight, we say it's a variable, but happiness is an opinion. Now, when I ask about, okay. So Dr. Pallavi says, I joined with my son's account, Utkarsh. Okay, Dr. Pallavi. So if I ask Soumya's what happiness, what do you think? Soumya's happiness will be same all through the day, or it might change? And will it change just a little bit, or it can drastically change? What's your point of view? Just vary, or it will differ? Can it be like, Soumya is extremely happy, or she's extremely sad on the verge of depression or something like that? It can be anything. And given the circumstances today we are living in, actually, except us, everybody has our remote control. Even an unknown person on the road can make your day disastrous. A simple comment made by somebody, and Soumya is, in very, very sad. Somebody commented. Now the problem
Excuse me,
is, okay,
sir.
Fazal, Fazal want
Yes,
to say something?
sir. Can you please simply say what is validity? As you said, reliability means it is a something repeating whether it is true or not true. But what is validity, sir?
Truth.
Okay, only truths.
Only truth.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Getting the truth is the validity, and whether truth or no truth, same answer is reliability. Okay. Correct thing is validity. Now, let's get back to the example of the weight, Soumya's weight. Soumya got a weight which will be plus minus certain gram or the milligram. Plus minus some milligrams are there. So validity will be, what is the Soumya's weight? Soumya's weight is something like 45 kg plus minus something. That is very negligible. And when you measure 10 times, it's around 45 kg plus minus something it will do. Now let's come to the happiness. Soumya got a particular level of happiness at this particular time in the life. So there is a validity. Validity means what is her happiness level, the actual value of the variable. So Soumya is a proud person. She is pursuing her PhD, or maybe a faculty member. She says, if you look from the scenario from India, a girl doing PhD in India girls you may not know, but actually you come in the top 1% of the India. Girls, you say I have so many problems, etc. Life is so tough, but don't forget, you are in top 1% of the India. Just think of the how many 150 people, 145 or 150 crore we are in India, and 1% is 1.5 crore. Not 1.5 crore people in India are there who are pursuing PhD from a very wonderful institute, having a laptop and writing a paper. 1.5 crore people are not there. So obviously, Soumya got a happiness level. And that happiness level might change over the period of time in a day or something that is called the reliability. And plus a third thing comes here as the method biasness or some external variable. Some external variable, maybe a WhatsApp message, maybe somebody commented, maybe somebody looked this way, something happened that also have some effect on your happiness. And the problem is when you measure a variable, this entire thing comes as a bundle. When Soumya say in the answer as 4 or 5, every single thing, her actual happiness level, transit happiness level. Transit means in the lunch, before the lunch, in the night, in the evening, at what time you asked, slightly change in that reliability, and got a very wonderful message, and she's elated, she's extremely happy, or she is very sad, then external effect. So when you collect the data, the response of everything comes there. That's why it is somewhat contaminated. You got the problem with the opinion. Are you with me so far? What is the edge of the people who work in the science field? People who work in the science field are blessed to have a variable. A variable is something they will start their work only when they know the variable, how to measure the variable, and they will simply go ahead. And the problem with the social sciences is how to measure something. That's $1 million question. Particularly how to measure something. Isn't it wonderful? We are having this workshop in 2025, and till date, if I want to know your happiness level, I need to talk to you. Just think over it for a moment, because it will have some impact on our measurement model, structural model, SAM, etc. The fundamental point is this. If I want to measure Soumya's weight and height, I will say, Soumya, come here. This is the weighing machine. Stand on it. You are 45 kg. You might claim anything about yourself, but machine is telling me the truth. And stand on this scale, and your height is 5 foot 4 inch. This is, you may consider anything about yourself, but the instruments are telling me this I will take. Okay, science has got a variable which got a certainty. But when it comes to social science opinion, till date, I don't have any equipment or instrument where I will make Soumya stand or sit and I will get, this is your happiness level. Till date, I need to talk to you. And then I will say, you can say, obviously, there is an observation method, but that's very flawed. Observation methods are extremely flawed. Have you heard of those sort of WhatsApp joke where the wife is thinking, my husband is, seems very upset. Probably he doesn't like me. Probably there is some other girl in his life, or he doesn't love me anymore. And husband is thinking, see, Rohit Sharma today also got out on 0, and Virat Kohli also didn't score the runs. So observation method is not very fruitful or effective, maybe erroneous also. So we need to talk to the people. So this is the first problem we will encounter while dealing with the social science. We deal with the opinion. Okay, we deal with the opinion, and in the sciences, they have a certainty, they have a variable. Okay, let me explain this little bit more, and then I will take your questions, if any. Just 1-2 minutes more I will take. The entire story of statistics, it talks about the fundamental is the variable can be categorized under the 3 heads. It's called as the univariate, bivariate, and the multivariate. Let's talk about this, what this thing is. So when we have, if you have a one variable, what we can do with the one variable, what sort of tool technique we can apply? Then we have the 2 variables, and then we have the 3 variables. So what sort of tool technique we can apply? if one variable is there, a basic word used is measure the variable. So you measure something like Somay's happiness level. I can measure, I can tell Somay is happy. You can say, okay, how much happy? Or a scale of 10, I can say this much happy. So measure, when you measure something, when you measure a variable, the things are, the various tool techniques available here are mean, median, mod, harmonic mean, geometric mean, sigma, variation. Are they same or are there any sort of the variation, etc.? And there are some assumptions called skewness and the kurtosis. Other than that, if you say no, what about the gender? How many in the class, how many boys, how many girls are there? Will you compute a mean of that? No. In that case, we go for the count or frequency of that. If two variables are there, our first question will be, are they related? Are the two variables related? This will be our first question. Are the two variables related? So the various things which can answer about this relation is, it can be R or B. Now what is this B? Small b. Small b is an indication of regression. Regression coefficient is called as the B here. Or it might change depending on how you measure. It can become TF chi-square. It can become either TF chi-square. All of them are telling about the bivariate relations. And when there are more than 3 variables, so it is termed as multivariate analysis. Depending on how many dependent, how many independent variables you have, there are many other things. Now, if I start with an example, sales depends on advertisement. I want to check whether sales depends on advertisement. I want to work on this. So here, how I will commence? I will take the data of the 10 companies. I will take their sales figures. I will take the advertisement budget, etc. And I will go and apply the regression. So what's the difference between correlation and the regression? So in simple way, you can understand, when you have no idea about DV/IDV, dependent independent variable, it's called correlation. When you know this is dependent, this is independent, it becomes the regression. So in the regression, there is a certainty of the dependent variable. Now I will pause at this point, regression, and first ask, shouldn't I consider the validity and the reliability of the sales? Validity and the reliability of the sales, where is that? Did I measure the validity and the reliability? So here, not the person. Listen carefully. When we have a variable, it's not the person or the firm or the respondent. It's the instrument that need to be reliable. Where from you have taken this data? The data is taken from the government side, some other side. Was that reliable? Was that effective? Containing true data, correct data? So here, when we have the variable, then that instrument need to be reliable. Talk to the friends of physics and the chemistry. They pay so much attention on their instrument. If I ever talk to them, they use a word called calibration. Calibrate. So when you go to any shop, sweet shop, and say, okay, give me 5 kg of this or 1 kg of this particular sweet. So you are very concerned whether the instrument is giving you exactly 1 kg or they have done something with the instrument so that 900 kg, it appears as 1 kg, 900 gram appears as the 1 kg. So that is called as a calibration. So instrument need to be the correct, where from you have taken the data. But when we have the opinions, now instead of, if I take the sales and the advertisement, which are given in the numbers, which are given in the money terms, or for that matter, anything. Doctors today say your weight depends on your age and your height. What is this called? BMI. Are you underweight? Are you overweight? So what is your height? Height is given in the centimeter. What is your age? That is given in the years. And weight we measure in the kilogram. All three we have measured. The way you are measuring your weight, that instrument should be okay. When you are measuring your height, that instrument should be okay. And then apply the regression. Not a problem with that. But when you go ahead with same similar sort of question, and instead of here, Let me put it as a box. Sales depends on advertisement. Now, instead of that, when you say performance of the employee depends on the leadership, or instead of performance, let's say motivation depends on the leadership. Motivation of the employee, it depends on the leadership. Now, is there any instrument I can put to your body and say, okay, your motivation level is this? Is there any instrument I can tell this is your leadership skill? Just think of measuring just like the weight and the height without talking to you. I will say, come stand on this particular scale. Okay, I got to know about your leadership skill. Are there any such things available? Probably no. So first thing, don't put it in a box, put it into a circle. Put it into a circle. A circle means here this is not measured directly. These are not measured directly, and we will coin a term with that. Let's call these are latent. Remember the word? It was taught to you in the physics and the chemistry, latent heat, etc. Anything latent is indirect. This one is very much direct. Sales and advertisement, these are not latent, these are direct. You measure them directly. And when you go for the latent variable, before applying the regression, shouldn't you first consider whether what I think motivation and what you think motivation are the same or not? Should I go ahead with that or not? Should I check? On the lighter side, it is said, let me share one anecdote with you. Heard of Art of Living, Shri Shri Ravi Shankarji? Earlier they had a program, it was called the Happiness Program. Now its name is changed for the kids, etc. Earlier it was name was Happiness Program. So just, it's not a true story, it's just an anecdote, it's just a thing we have devised. So some Art of Living teachers went to Punjab in a school and said, see, these days kids are also stressed. They are not very happy. Is there anyone in the class who is happy? 3 people raised the hand. The people said, the teacher of Art of Living said, no. I'm saying actually happy, very happy. The kids say, yes, I have an Aadhaar card also, Happy Singh. And one girl was Happy Kaur. So see, what I am thinking of happy and what you are replying are the same. I'm asking, are you happy? And the person is saying, yes, I am Happy Singh. Both are correct from their perspective. But this is both are not on the same page. The only point is both are not on the same page. In a survey, it was asked, are you a bachelor? And the person replied, yes, Bachelor of Commerce. Correct? I should have been very watchful about what I'm asking. Instead of asking, are you a bachelor? Maybe marital status will be a better question. So the point is, first we must ascertain whether what I think of motivation, what you think of motivation should be same, and how to measure the leadership skill. So here what we will do, whenever we work with these sort of opinions, we first check the validity and the reliability. First check the validity and the reliability, and after that we apply the regression, and this complete is called as the SAM. So first question is, what is the difference between SAM and regression? Well, SAM, structure equation modeling, is a part of regression, a special case of regression where either one or both variables, they are opinion. Either one, even if one is there, you need to apply this, you need to check its validity and the reliability, and then apply regression as usual. But in the, when you have money terms, when you have the direct physical things, there is no concept of checking reliability, validity of the people. Check the reliability and validity of the instrument, the way you are measuring. Okay, now your questions. Ask your questions, anything. Are we good? My story is going okay?
Kindly raise hand to ask questions.
Yeah. So you see, stats is probably not that boring or stupid subject. So latent variable is something which cannot be measured directly. You can take opinion. Opinion are latent. I cannot measure your happiness level. I cannot measure your stress level. I have to ask you questions. See, I take it very simple. Research is extremely simple and very funny and very sweet. If You don't open your mouth. You come to me and I can collect your data. It's a direct. Maybe it's your blood pressure, maybe it's your hemoglobin level, anything, etc. with that. Yeah, you can call latent variable as qualitative also. Or quantitative is where without speaking, I can take your data. Okay. And when you need to talk to me, you need to express, it is qualitative, it is what you call non-metric, several names are there. In the research, we have one tradition until unless one thing got the 4 or 5 names, it's not worth researching. So first, one method of confusing is there are several names. We'll come to that. Uh, Latent variable is also called as the construct, also called as the factor, also called the dimension and the determinant. 5, 6 names are there. What is the difference between correlation and regression? Here it's the same difference as is there friendship and marriage. Before the marriage, it's correlation. After the marriage, it becomes regression. Well, I'm not joking. Let me tell you why I'm saying. In correlation, in relationship, let's talk about our relationship. In relationship, there is a boy, there is a girl. Okay. Their official designation is friends. Both are friends. Now, by virtue of their gender, you call boyfriend, girlfriend, but actually both are friends. In the correlation also, Rxy is equal to Ryx, right? But when they go to marriage, one of them become husband and other become wife. So, and non-transferable. You can't say like it's been 5 years, now you are wife, I am husband. No. Lifetime, non-transferable. Likewise, when you know this is your DV, this is the DV, this is your regression. When no identity is not, that's why Rxy is equal to Ryx. Both are exactly same. But Bxy is not Bxy, Yx. Regression coefficients are not same. There are 2 regression coefficients, but there is only one correlation. Correlation is same. So very easy to remember that when you have no identity, friendship, then they are correlation. When they go for marriage, it becomes regression. Okay. So Faisal says there is a doubt. Yes, Faisal, go ahead. Okay, before that, Anurag says, if we work on the secondary data, I doubt whether you anytime check the reliability validity. You simple apply the regression. If time element is there, Anurag, then we go for panel data regression. Just be mindful of that. But reliability validity of that source where from data is taken, that to be ascertained. Where from you have taken the data. That's why we say take the data from SEBI, take the data from other things. Don't take data from any arbitrary blogs. Where from you are taking the data, validity and reliability of that should be checked, not of the data.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, you told regarding one thing that point 1. So you told that reaching to 1 it is better. Deviation from 1 is relating to reliability. So that is Cronbach alpha, sir.
That is Cronbach alpha. I have purposefully not given the name because there are several names, but yes, you can take in terms of Cronbach alpha.
Okay, that is if the variables are reaching to 1, that is it is repeatable. That is, sir, the variables are repeating capacity.
I asked Soumya 10 times a day, how much, what is your name, Soumya? And 10 times they answered Soumya. Her reliability is 1. Reliability means perfectly replicable, exactly same answer coming every single time. That's 1. Reliability of 1. 1 means 100%. And when her weight we checked, weight is not exactly same every single time. We say reliability is 90%. It means it's very similar. 90% of the time it is the same. Minor variations are there. They are called as the random fluctuations. Reliability ranges between 0 to 1.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. So somebody raised the hand. It's not able to see the name. Probably it's Monu. Monu, any questions? Priyanka asked about reflective formatting. Yeah, Priyanka, will come to that. We'll come to that. Don't worry. Monu Chauhan, you can type also. You've been unmuted. Unmute yourself and ask your question, Monu. If I left out any question in the chat box, organizers can please remind me because I'm not able to read that fast. If something is there, correlation regression, I answered. Latent variable qualitative, yes, same. Latent variable. Okay. Difference between PLS and SAM by AMOS. Okay. Yes, we'll talk to that also. It's Amrita. We'll go for that also. Still, Amrita, we are in 1920. We will come to the 1970s when regression was made. Then we'll meet a person called Wald who made PLS. Then we'll talk about the other forms also. Remember Fisher who made MLE method. We are on the time journey. Still, we have reached to only 1905, 1910. So in the process, in our time machine journey, we will meet other wonderful people also. To study the effect of independent variable collected through primary data on the secondary data. Well, that's $1 million question. Who asked it? The font is so small. Navrat. Navrat, what should I answer? Answer is yes and no. Navrat, see, the life will be much settled, Navrat, if you just understand the data entry method. SPSS has given data entry method and it says one person is in one row and one response is in one column. Okay, please remember, I think since it's an advanced workshop, I take it as assumption that you know all those things of basics. It means one person, you can ask as many things from one person, it will go to one row and one response will go to one column, right? Now take Navrat. I take the one particular ROE of a company and 10 employees of that company. Now what will happen? Every employee will be one row and then ROE for company will be same. So it will be same for all the employee also. Are you able to understand that? It's something like if I'll say, Navrat, if I'll ask any person in NIT Bhopal that what is your rank in NIRF? So whatever the rank is there, let's say rank is 50 for a moment. So every single person will say 50. Every single person of NIT Bhopal will say our rank in the engineering category is 50, right? So it means when I enter the ROE, ROA of every single person for that company, it will be same. The moment it is same, Navrat, what happens? It's not a variable. What is a variable? Anything that varies is a variable. If it doesn't vary, then how is it variable? R will be 0. So one method you can say, okay, take the average of all the opinions and make it as the 1 and then write about the ROA of the company. Very true, can be done. But in that case, what will happen? The sampling unit will be the number of company. Sampling unit will be the number of company. Okay, so your answer is yes, it can be done, but you need to be very, very careful. I give you one example. We are thinking, rather we do sort of analysis on our teachers because I deal with the statistics and by chance I am head of department also. So what I do all sort of the analysis on the result of the marks and show the teachers, say this is the result. So we apply cluster analysis, we apply multidimensional scaling, we apply latent profile analysis on our result prepared by the teachers. Now I want to know whether their feedback is have an indication on their result, whether the result given by the teacher, marks, and that feedback, interest in the subject, are they related? Now think of it, Navdeep. How I'm collecting the data? The marks I have taken from the office, it's a secondary data. And opinion I have taken from the Google Doc forms using that sort of 5-point scale or something. Now what is happening here? Go for the data entry method. Name of the person, 40 people are there. Their Google Doc 5-point is there. And the marks I have taken from the office. Not a problem. Every row it is there. Marks, there is a variation. Opinion, there is a variation. I can apply the primary data, secondary data, I can apply the regression. Not a problem with that. Problem comes when you work on the finance data or something. From a company, you take 100 employee, but for the 100 employee, financial indicator will be 1 number. That will be a problem. That will be a problem. Else we can connect primary and the secondary data. Absolutely no problem. Just keep in mind one total forgotten concept of statistics, sampling unit. Sampling unit will be the same. Do study about it a little bit more. Yeah, any other questions, please? Okay, somebody has raised the hand. It's Monu. Okay,
Mono, you can
will-
speak. Mono, you can unmute.
Mono doesn't believe in typing, and she is not able to, or he or she is not able to unmute himself or herself. Latent variable have indirect relation. Please, no, Priyanka. I'm not saying they have indirect relation. They are measured indirectly. Relation we will come a little later, Priyanka. I'm saying they are measured indirectly. How can I measure your stress level? You can say measure the BP. BP is not stress level, by the way. Stress is caused because of blood pressure, or maybe you are in a stress. That's why your BP will be regulated. I'm not saying that in relation. I'm saying how to measure. You don't measure directly. Priyanka, I can ask you, please stand here. This is your weight on the weighing machine. Direct measurement. But for measuring about your self-efficacy, how can I measure your self-efficacy? I will give you a questionnaire. I will ask you something, but I will infer you something else. That is something called as the indirect measurement. Latent variable has indirect. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions, please? No questions? Okay. So I hope we are going okay. 1 hour, still not boring.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So shall we take a break here? Because no, after 2 hours is the break. Sorry, I forget. After 2 hours is the break. So let's go ahead.
So we can take a break at 3.
We can take a
We
break.
can
As
take
you
the
said,
break at 3 o'clock.
you are with me up to 5:30. At any time you can take the break, and I am at my home. Absolutely not a problem. Okay. So
Okay, sir. Let's go to the
let
break.
me. Okay. So let's talk about something before we go ahead. Now, 2-3 questions were there. What about this regression, etc.? Let's talk about regression. Do remind me, we will talk about the softwares also. So many things to sort out. So when we talk about the regression, because it's an online session, we cannot play a game about regression. Else we play a game to understand what is a regression and what is a correlation. So first is OLS regression. What is that? It's an ordinary. It's a least square, ordinary least square regression. I have one question here. In most of them, you find a t test is given the t, f is given f, but how come correlation got the, it's a symbol as r? Shouldn't it be c? Why correlation symbol is r, not c? Actually, Carl Pearson and this Galton, they were making regression. So that's why that was for R. And initially they thought of it as regression. Much later they said, okay, regression is different, it is correlation. So initially they thought of making, and I will come to their questions also, what they were thinking and how they worked. One thing, let me tell you a small anecdote. Carl Pearson became a professor, started the Department of Statistics, and started the journal Biometrica, which was a very renowned journal. R. Fisher was a student of master's. R. Fisher sent a paper for publication. Carl Pearson approved the paper, but generally write some negative comment like, these kids, they think of this and this and that. Write a very adverse comment. From that day onwards, Carl Pearson and R. Fisher, they could not be good friends. R. Fisher was much younger to Carl Pearson, but they were not very good friends. But they were in the same time zone. They were in the same not department, in the same city. They could not ignore each other. But this lack of friendship, I won't say they were enemy. And this Gossett tried a lot to make them friends. Worked for many occasions so that they should become friends, but they didn't. So what happens? Whatever Carl Pearson has given, do remember its cracks are given by R. Fisher. So R.E. Fisher will give improvement, and what are the limitations of the Fisher's work, Carl Pearson's work, and this, and vice versa. So whatever Fisher has given, Carl Pearson will give its limitation and where the things go wrong, and it's what to do next in that case. So MLE method was given by Fisher. OLS was Carl Pearson, Gossett, this team was there. So MLE, maximum likelihood estimation. So maximum likelihood estimation. So that's a separate way of working algorithm. Now there was another person, his name was Wald, and this Wald will come two times because his son was obviously he was also a Wald. So they both contributed to the third one, PLS. So what the Wald was doing, he was in love with the OLS regression, a great lover of the OLS regression, and okay. Okay. Monu's question is about latent variable, adapted, adopted, etc. Monu, don't worry. We will take this thing in much detail. Don't worry about that. Listen to the story. Wald was in love with the OLS regression, and in his lifetime, MLE regression got a lot of popularity, and every single day, MLE method was getting more popular. So he thought of, no, I must work something, I must do something so that the glory of OLS will be resumed. So he relaxed some of the assumptions of the OLS and made something called the PLS. But PLS calculations were so tricky, nobody could take that, and it stayed dormant till that time Wald Jr. came. So let me call it as the Wald Jr. Wald Jr. worked with one of the student of the senior Wald, okay? And this student plus this, they both made a company, and using the company, they make the software. It's very popular till date. It's called Lisrael, Lisrel. When they made this software, Lisrael, then the PLS become popular. So Lisrael was the first one to become popular. And not only that, Wald Jr. was working in industry. He was not academician. He was working in an industry. So he solved many industrial problems using the PLS algorithms. It becomes very, very popular. And then the number of people will come. There was a PLS graph was around 2005. There was a software called PLS graph. Graphical interface was there. And then came the SmartPLS, and now rest is history. SmartPLS becomes one of the dominant. Remember, IBM company's product AMOS, it uses MLE. And IBM company's product SPSS, it uses OLS regression. So it's a saga of, it's a story of three algorithms. OLS, now today when you work in the Excel, you work in the SPSS or any software, by default everybody uses OLS. But when you work with the AMOS, it works on the MLE method. And when you work with the SmartPLS, it uses PLS algorithm. Very recently, in last year, 2024, it says you can, now this one, MLE method, here we call it as the CBSAM. And it is called the VBSAM. What is C and B? C stands for covariance. Covariance based structure equation modeling. And this is something called the variance based structure equation modeling. VB is the variance based and CB is the covariance based. 2024, SmartPLS people, they said they incorporated both. Earlier, it was using only VBSAM, which make use of PLS algorithm, and CBSAM, which make use of MLE method. Now today, the SmartPLS software provides you both. It provides you functionality of the MLE method, that is CBSAM, and that of PLS algorithm using the VBSAM. Today, we can use. We will talk about it, which circumstances, which one to use, and what is going to, etc. We'll talk about that. But three things you should know about this. This is the first part. Additionally, let's go about something else. Any questions in the OLS PLS? We'll try to cover this part in detail. MLE method, PLS, OLS, these sort of methods. Okay. So first, let's start with our confusions. In the physical sciences, we have something called a variable. And here, let's call it as construct. Construct. So construct is something which a variable which cannot be measured directly, measured indirectly. Okay. So the people of statistics, let me make a table here then in that case. And you will understand why there are the different names. We will understand the reason for the same also. So in the field of psychology, because initially the things started from psychology field, they will ask one particular thing. Let me write all the 3-4 domains: statistics, management. And what's the name? Here it is called as, okay, maybe I should take the psychology from here and put it here, and construct from here, put it here. Okay. Here, this one is called variable, and this is called as the latent variable. This is called as factor. Here they are called as the statement. Psychology, they call it as item. This one is what we measure. This is what we infer. When we go ahead with the softwares, then a slight change is there in the software. While working with the software, measurements are represented by box and constructs are represented by a oval shape. So that's why the different names are there. In the field of psychology, they call it as construct, and what they ask is called as measurement. Take an example. Example is measuring the motivation. If I measure the motivation, I cannot ask you directly how much kg of motivation you have, or what is your level of motivation. I can't ask you directly. So what I ask you, like I will ask you, for example, instead of motivation, I want to check whether you are interested in this subject or not. So what I will measure? Are you coming in the class on time? Are you answering the queries? If you are asked, are you replying there? Do you write your assignments properly or not? So all these things I will measure, can be measured directly, right? And I will infer something. Now there are every chances, you got some strikes, some traffic jam was there, you are not on time. I concluded you don't have interest, or maybe you are so preoccupied, not able to read properly. So that's why you are not answering my queries, or you are not asking queries. So yes, I can be wrong, I admit it, but I measure something and I infer something. Are you with me on this point? I measure something and I infer something. This is the difference. This is the difference between the two. What we measure is called as the variable or the latent, item or statement. And what we infer is called as the latent variable, factor, or the construct. Are you with me for this? Any doubts? Because of the different domains, people give it the different names. Any doubts in that? Okay. Probably it's the time we should check one of the name research skills. Okay. I hope my screen is visible. Probably. Somebody please confirm. Is this visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I will ask you to take a minute on your notebook or notepad. Please write from 1 to 7, and in front of everyone, please write your assessment. It basically says circle the number on the scale below to characterize your behavior. The first thing is this is important for many of the scholars to know that there is a life beyond Likert scale also. So this is what is called as the semantic differential scale. I have purposefully chosen this scale so that you come to know that life scale, Likert scale is not the only thing in the research. There are other things also. No need to answer me, just note down about yourself. It says, are you casual appointments? If yes, then circle on the A, 1 or 2. 8 means you are never late. Competitive, very competitive. If you are very competitive all the time, then 7 or 8. If you are not competitive, 1 and 2, or accordingly you can answer yourself. Do you feel rushed? Never or always. Take many things at a time. Yes or no means try to do many things or etc. Slowly do the things or you are fast. You express the feelings or you don't express the feelings. Sit on the feelings means you don't express. Do you have many interests outside the work or few interests outside the work? Just write a number from 1 to 7 and write in front of it. You can write from 1 to 8. Okay, take a minute, answer yourself. It will be really good if you answer yourself. No need to share it with anyone, just answer it. Okay, I assume you have done it. Now, what I want to know about you, I want to know about your personality. Now, I will ask you, had it been like any sort of recruitment drive, I will take responses from you and get assessment from you. But here, you can assess yourself. If your score is more than 100, they say, take the total score of 7 questions and multiply by the 3. So you multiply by the 3, get the total of all and multiply by the 3. If the score is more than 100, you are type A personality. If it is less than 100, you are type B personality. If the score is between 100 and 105, you are slightly A. 106 to 119, you are typical A, typical A1. And if your score is more than 120, you are alpha A, extreme. If anybody got more than 120, I can tell you what sort of person you are. If you have seen the movie Three Idiots, so virus, the principal, I assume that if that is the person, that is something like typical alpha A personality. What are the characteristics of that person? Never late, never casual about appointments, very competitive. You remember a scene, he is competing, somebody is going on cycle and he is putting extra efforts to go ahead of the cycle. These people, every single thing they need to compete. They can never relax, they can't play, they need to win, they need to show them. They feel rest, they need to do, remember, writing to both the hands and on the board, writing this. They are doing the things fast, eating fast, walking fast. They never express their feelings and they have nothing outside the world. Typical that three idiot principle, that's an alpha A personality virus, Viru Sahastra Buddhi. On the other side, type B personalities, they're very relaxed sort of the person. Now see, I didn't ask you what sort of personality you are. Had that been the question, then it's a measure. I'm asking measure. I'm asking directly. So I hope, Monu, you got your answer. Monu, I'm asking something and then I'm inferring something. It's not a direct. Since you said you are never late, you are very competitive, you feel rushed, you try to do many things, I consider that you are type A personality. Now, where from this is coming? Now, this comes from the theory. Let's go to the theory then. Okay. So probably I close that. So where should I go? NIT, subjects, research, scales. And let's go to a book of organization behavior. And from that book, let's study something. Please confirm if my screen is visible and it's are you able to read it? Is it zoomed properly? Or shall I zoom more?
Yes, sir, we are able.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's read from the line number 4. An individual with a type A personality is aggressively involved in chronic, incessant struggle to achieve more and more in less and less time, if required to do so, against the opposing efforts of other things and persons. In North American culture, such characteristics tend to be highly prized and positively associated with ambition and successful acquisition of the material goods. What are the type A personality? They are always moving, walking, eating rapidly. Feel impatient with the rate at which most events take place. They strive to do the things, two or many things at one time. They cannot cope with the leisure time. They actually feel guilty. They are obsessed with the numbers. They measure their success in terms of how many, how much of everything they acquire. Always number oriented people. In contrast to that B category, they never suffer from any sense of urgency. They are never, impatient. They feel no need to display or discuss their achievements or accomplishment unless required to do so by situation. They play for fun and relaxation rather than to exhibit their superiority at any cost. They can relax without guilt. Those who love Shah Rukh Khan is a typical A personality. In one of the interviews, Shah Rukh Khan mentioned, I hate sleeping because to me, he sleeps only for 4 or 5 hours. And he says, such a wastage of time. I can do so many things, but I have to sleep and I hate sleeping. Typical A personality, typical A personality. So what I'm doing, I am measuring something, I'm asking something, but I'm concluding something. Hope, Monu, you got my point. When I say measure something, but infer something else, what I infer, that is the personality. So Monu, I will put personality into the circle. I will put personality into the circle, and the what items I asked, like fast, etc., that will be in the box. Don't worry about the way the arrow will go. That will talk about the arrow, reflective, formative. But the point is, what is a latent variable? What is a variable? A variable is which you ask. In simplest term, what is there in the SPSS file? What you ask from the respondent is called the item or statement or variable. What you infer from that, that is your construct. Any doubts? Any questions so far? Okay. Wow, you have taken screenshots also. Okay. So where we are now, $1 million question is how to get the value of the construct. Listen carefully. It's a $1 million question. How to get the value of the construct? People of the psychology never bothered about the EFA, CFA, this or that. They simply said that's why they call it as a scale. Okay, first let's differentiate. Terminology should be same so that all of us are on the same page. Why we allow Likert scale used most systematic differential scale in other scales? Priyanka, what should I answer, Priyanka, about it? Priyanka says why everybody is using Likert scale. There are other scales also. You should use other scales also. Priyanka, I will say probably proper exposure is not given. Maybe, our kids learn only what we taught them, what we teach them. So we teach in the coursework only about the Likert scale. But the point is, it's not about the who teaches. Point is, you should read more and more. You will find the papers of other domain also and read more and more. Okay. Where were we? We have given the names, etc. But let's differentiate between a questionnaire and a scale. Questionnaire is a holistic term which generally works on, let me write it here. What are the components in a questionnaire? In the questionnaire, we have some sort of intro notes. Hello, my name is Neeraj. I am conducting a study on this and this and this and that sort of things we write. Then we ask the demographic variable, age, income, gender, etc. Then we ask for MCQ question, multiple choice question. There may be the binary question. There may be the ranking question. There may be the scale questions. There can be open-ended question. Somebody want to ask question?
Yes, sir. I want to ask one question. Sir, for the PLS SCM, is Likert scale is more preferable, or it can be on the other scales too?
Any scale, semantic differential also, any sort of the scale. By the way, PLS doesn't remember what is Likert. PLS will say, is it 1 to 5, 1 to 10? It doesn't know. You know what is meaning of 1 to 5, 1 to 10. PLS is independent. It will work on everything. Is that okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Open-ended questions also we can ask, and actually we ask all sort of the stuff in a questionnaire. We ask all these things. I will strongly advise you to use open-ended questions also in your questionnaire, so that at the last you can apply some text analytics and you can get some very good suggestion. Now out of that there comes a scale. Now in the scale we measure either one construct, either we measure the one construct or more than one construct, so greater than equal to one construct. So in one construct it might be possible you are measuring only one thing. Like the example I have given, I measured only personality. I could have measured personality and your stress and something else. Okay, so then other than that, in the questionnaire generally what happens, you take the data and you say thank you. You take questionnaire data and you say thank you. But when you remember today, I don't know whether people go for it, in childhood when the kids go to the railway station, one of the motivation is to check their weight. I don't know whether you still do it or whether weighing machines are still available on the railway stations. But weighing machine, when you stand up on the weighing machine, what do you feel if it's written thank you? you will feel cheated and stupid. You will say, well, tell me my weight, isn't it? So in the psychology, whenever person answers, person expects, now tell me about myself. So that's why in the scale, it is always accompanied by key. In the questionnaire, there is no such key, but in scale, there is a key. Just like I said, if your score is more than 100, you are type A, less than type B, 120 alpha A. I must tell you about your personality using that. That's called a key. Key means an inference from the score. That is called as the key. It's a mandatory part in the scale. Do remember, when you call scale, it means there must be a mandatory part. Key must be given to that. Otherwise, it's a questionnaire. We take one or more than one construct. Scale can be many. Actually, Likert was not the first one. How many of you know Likert was actually, when he gave this Likert scale, he was not a professor. How many of you know that? He was an MPhil student. In the MPhil dissertation work, he used this, which become later, so much hit. And likewise, do you know E is equal to MC square was not written in a paper. Einstein wrote his first paper. In the appendix, this was written E is equal to E is MC square. He never wrote it into the paper. That was the part of appendix, which become such a great thing today. So Likert scale was the part of the MPhil thesis put into the appendix. Okay, so scale, today we talk about the, let's wait for a moment. Scale, I want to talk actually somewhat in more detail, not simply this. Two of the scale that's very popular are Likert scale is very popular. Second is Osgood semantic differential scale. One I have just shown you, the name was semantic differential scale. Likert scale, the name of that is summated rating scale. One is the category, one is the person who has given it. So it's called as summated rating scale. It's a rating scale and get the sum. And Osgood says semantic differential scale. Semantic differential scale. So just the pair of antonyms are used. No sentences, nothing from strongly agree, disagree. Pair of antonyms, hardworking, less hardworking, active, passive, honest, dishonest. Pair of antonyms are used in the semantic differential scale, used in personality assessment, etc. So scale is a subset of questionnaire. Scale is a smaller set of questionnaire. Questionnaire incorporates many things. Scale works with that. Now, when we talk about the construct, let me utilize this probably 5 minutes or so before we take a break. In two assumptions, with the construct comes 2 points. The first point is in the construct is to measure the variable, to measure that variable or whatever should I call construct opinion. Okay. And the second one is, this is my assumption. This I work on the what assumption I'm working with, what you feel about your audience. To measure that opinion and make inference about that, plus check the consistency of the person. check the consistency of the person. These are the two basic algorithms. One is simply, it says you measure and infer, obviously. Measure something and infer about the person. And here it says to measure the opinion and infer, and plus no harm in checking the consistency also. Check the consistency also, right? In that, while checking the consistency, that question will come, what about the negative worded? We will come to that, okay? So these are the two. When your objective is simply to measure and infer, why consistent? Basic idea is, why my people will lie? People will tell the truth every time. They are good people. This will be called as the formative construct. It will be called formative. And where your intention is to check the consistency also, this will be called as the reflective. So there are two things, formative and the reflective. In the formative, we never check the same thing again and again. So in the reflective, you can just look for check the same thing again and again. Again and again. Check means ask the same thing again and again. Now, don't take it literally. Copy, paste, paste, paste. My professor said ask it 4 times. No, 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 I'm not saying that. I'm saying you change your words. A person should not change his or her opinion. Okay, so you can change the word. So here in the reflective, 2 words are very important. These words are, one, we call it as unidimensionality. Unidimensionality means we measure the data about only one construct. Formative are by when they are multidimensional. By genesis, they are multidimensional, while reflective are unidimensional. And second is unidirectionality. Before analysis, put all negative worded question into the correct. Direction should be same, unidirectionality. So 2 are the basic postulates before starting working. It's a unidimensional, it's unidirectional. Formative, they are multi-dimensional. Please measure, please note. Now we'll talk about after the break, we'll talk about the reliability, validity of both, and they are different. Like Cronbach alpha, when you coin the term Cronbach alpha, it is applied in the reflective, never in the formative. Okay, please be very careful about that. We'll do it with an example. But before that, we can take a break.